Hey y'all, my name is Francesca Garcia, and today I am going to be talking about the Saint Chapelle. Specifically, I will be discussing the stained glass windows that are inside. I chose this piece because I feel like the cathedrals were such a big part of the Gothic culture, especially when they began integrating their culture with their religion and trying to develop a different look on the biblical stories that they had heard. This chapel was built in the 13th century around 1239. It was built by Pierre de Montreal. He was a French architect, and he was born in 1200 in France. A great thing about this chapel is that it's still standing today in almost perfect condition. As you can see in the pictures, there are tons of windows in it. The official Saint Chapelle website says that it's a gem of Gothic style. Built in 7 years, an impressive feat. The Saint Chapelle was intended to house precious Christian relics. And so one of the Christian relics that it said that it was going to house was actually the crown of thorns that Jesus wore, which was a really cool fact. It doesn't say if it specifically housed it for a time or not, but we can say that we can't infer that it did. The only fact that we have about the crown is that St. Louis purchased it for 135,000 pounds. Something about the windows is that there are over 1,000 of them on the top tier. Each window has 4 lancets topped by 3 rose windows, and then each window represents something from the Bible. So for specifics, the central window in the choir is dedicated to the Passion and the story of how Jesus died on the cross and the Passover feast. But also, just even though some are biblically referenced, some of them are politically significant. They talk about the Holy Cross and the French Kingdom and how they were going to house the relics and how it came about to build Saint Chapelle. Other windows are just house like saints and stuff like that. But what I love about this chapel is that I can just imagine whenever the sun is hitting it just right and you see all of these colors coming through. For it to be built in 7 years is a really big deal because there are over 1,000 windows and each one is individually made and then individually placed. So if you look closely, they had to individually cut each piece, and that can take a while and a lot of resources. The bigger picture, you can just see all of them together. You can see that each window has a main shape, so it could be oval, it could have been square, it could have been a scalloped, 4 sides of scallops, or a square that is turned to look like a diamond. And in each of those bigger shapes is a picture, but then around it are just mosaic colors to complement the story. They use a lot of basic colors: red, green, blue, white, just because when those colors are hit with the sun, they create almost a prism effect, and so they actually make more colors. The blue and green and yellow, they'll mix together. It'll make purple, it'll make orange. Another cool thing about the chapel is that it's also aligned with gold. So that is another resource that is just like a really big deal. Another thing is that there are ribs inside of the chapel that hold together the mosaic pieces, and I really like that a lot of the structure that formed the chapel is based off of body parts, especially the ribs, because even though this was probably used for this was used for Christian services. We're called to be the body of Christ. And so if the chapel has representation of the body of Christ, we can see that they, even in the structure, put forth the ideal of what it means to be a church family and what it means to congregate as the church of Christ, which I just think is really cool. So that is my art presentation of the Sainte Chapelle's window glass, and thank you very much.